I'm in the brand new 2023 redesigned Honda Accord, still built in Marysville, Ohio for the last 40 years. This week we got information that Honda is switching production to Indiana as they get ready for electrification in 2025. The sample I have today is the Sport L grade with the radiant red paint color, coming in at a little over $35,000. Is this the ultimate sedan to buy in 2023? Today we'll find out. First thing we're going to do is open the hood, because the Sport L and Sport EXL, Sport L, and Touring grades, they are all hybrids. So the top four grades on the new Accord, all hybrid powertrains. You can still get the base 1.5 liter turbo engine that is mated to a CVT transmission, but even though this is a Sport L grade, the sportiness has kind of left the Accord. There's no V6, there hasn't been V6 for a couple generations now, and there's no 2.0 turbo that you see, let's say, in the Type Rs, and the engine just turned off right because it's a hybrid, that you see in the Type Rs or even throughout the Acura lineup, for example. But what we have underneath the hood here with this hybrid setup is a 2 liter, this engine made in Japan, brought over to the United States to be assembled here. On the way out here, I got about 50 miles per gallon. Now that's best case scenario because I was really babying it. Wasn't going much over 60 miles an hour. Very steady state driving. I would say on average, you're gonna see mid to low 40s with this setup. And if it's cold out, or if you're cranking the AC, it might even dip below 40. 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque. It's nothing to really write home about. Really, the efficiency and the smoothness is what this engine and setup is all about. Unfortunately for Honda, they decided not to bring all-wheel drive to this Accord. You would have to spring for the CRV or the HRV and the lineup, the crossovers, to get that sort of treatment. It's a little unfortunate because its competition is adding all-wheel drive through their models, and Toyota will be doing it with the next generation coming out next year. Super solid hood slam there. And let's talk about the exterior design because it's too hard to look at it in the shadow. So let's go ahead and pull it around to the spotlight with the morning sun. And honestly, I think most of the controversy with the design is up front, because it does look like other sedans throughout the history here in the United States, not necessarily the Accord, but from the competition. We do kind of have that sloping roofline that was introduced in the 10th generation, but the front, I don't think it looks bad. It's just maybe a little too safe from Honda. Let me know what you guys think of this front end down below. Very wide. I get a little bit of kind of like a hammerhead design that Toyota kind of is doing, but it's very subdued, very minimal. But on the Sport L, I like the glossy bits on the corners right underneath the headlights that, let's say, on the Touring model is silver, which doesn't look nearly as nice as what we see here. We have a glossy portion at the bottom of the bumper as well. Daytime running lights are super bright and maybe a bit conservative since they're just kind of straight lines across, nothing fancy like you see in a K5, for example. I do like the strong hood lines on here, and we have 19-inch kind of matte black wheels. The base Sport model comes with glossy black wheels, which are the same design. And we also have glossy black on the bottom. We have a nice glossy black window surround here, as well as glossy black windows. And as we come around to the back, that's one of my favorite things about the Accord. So the Sport and the Sport L have this glossy black spoiler, but I really enjoy the taillights here. The light bar that kind of goes across the small Honda logo. And now you can also get the Accord blacked out, because Sport is blacked out on the right-hand side, but Accord is kind of this shiny metallic. You can get that blocked out at the dealer as an option. And we also have this Sport diffuser in the back that kind of hides the gas, or should I say the exhaust pipe here on the bottom. But yeah, it does kind of point to where Honda is going with their designs and their electric future. Opening up the trunk lid here, it is not automatic, but holy smokes, we have so much space in here. Seats can fold down. Unfortunately, we have a fix-a-flat kit, no spare tire. You can only get that on the lower grades of the new Honda Accord. We got to drive back into the shadows for the interior discussion. Let's listen to this door slam. Pretty satisfactory. It's not the most solid, but it's what you would expect for a vehicle this class. Soft touch materials here, but very basic door trim. And I like the material right here below this more durable material at the top. This feels excellent, very premium. And that high quality material goes to the armrest with a little bit of stitching around the window controls. We actually have some memory seats on the Sport L grade. L meaning leather. Yes, we have nice leather seats in here, and don't think they're sporty. These are definitely for comfort. They're super big and comfy. It's like you're sitting on like a lazy boy at home. We do have that glossy black here. I haven't been blinded with it yet, but with any highly reflective interior trim, it will blind you eventually. Nice solid dash. Like driving this, I haven't heard the dash creak or rattle at all. Now, on all hybrids, we get this standard 12-inch touchscreen. It's so fast, super smooth, very zippy. I'm using Android Auto right now. It's plugged in because I don't have a wireless charger. That would be an optional feature here. You have 2 USB chargers down here. What I really enjoy with the Android Auto, not only to take up the full screen now, but you can easily get to your Honda menus as well with these buttons that stay fixed on the left-hand side. And you can easily get back into that Android Auto with just a touch of the button. And we even have a volume knob. And I laugh at it because it's super small, but you can just rest your fingers up here on the dash and use this volume knob with a stable hand, and you can use this shelf as well to play around with the touchscreen. So the functionality, the ergonomics are an A+ here in the new Accord. We also have a standard 10-inch digital screen back here. It's not the most customizable. You can play with it a little bit, and unfortunately you would only see the map on this screen if you have the Google built-in, and that's only on the touring grade. We also have paddle shifters. You have several different regen settings in here. I prefer just to use the brake pedal. It's more accurate and more predictable than using the paddle shifters because it is not one pedal driving. No surprise, we have an excellent leather wrap steering wheel in here. The steering feels overall pretty good. We'll talk about that when we start driving it. We do have different drive modes. We have normal, sport, individual, as well as econ. So you can customize this a little bit. I just leave it in normal 99% of the time. A Sport L also has heated front seats, and we also have a manual dimming rear view mirror, and there's no garage door openers on here. That's unfortunate. You would have to pay an extra $300 to get an upgraded rear view mirror. Also, something this beautiful screen does not have, no grade comes with Sirius XM, so you would have to use your phone. You know, when I just go back to Android Auto here, go back to these apps, I'd probably just be using Google Music, and then you could use Spotify on here as well if you're one of those Spotify people. Underneath the armrest is a ton of space. It's all hard touch. There's no felt line in here, which is kind of unfortunate. We do have a power adapter in here for 180 watts maximum power. So you can, if you don't like the USB-Cs up here, if you want some USB-As, you can really use this adapter down here for that. Now, I have a husky at home, and his hair follows me around the world, and it is collecting on this shiny glossy black plastic in here. Cup holders work pretty well, even though it doesn't fit super snug. My Yeti, I haven't heard it rattle around, but I also haven't been driving it super hard either. Basic sunroof in here. There is no panel roof option on any of the new Accords, but we do have a foam inserted sunglass holder here. Nice LED lights for the vanity on each side as well. The sound system in this, well, it's not the Bose. The only way you can get the Bose is the top touring grade, and it sounds really good in that car. Here, you have to max out the bass for it to sound acceptable, and even then it's not the best sound. It gets loud, but doesn't mean it sounds good. All right, get in the back here. The new Accord has heaps of leg room. Unfortunately, there's only one mat pocket, but we do have soft backs to the seats. If you're probably 6'6" and your knees maybe have to push into this a little bit, and this is set up for me at 6'1", like just so much leg room back here. We have a little drivetrain hump, but there's no all-wheel drive system, so maybe the exhaust goes through here. I just don't understand the need for this hump here. Two big letdowns for me is there are no rear vents back here. There is also no charging on this station, and the competition will have charging and trims comparable to this. A couple cup holders here, nice leather wrapped armrest here, feels great with some stitching. What about headroom? Well, as I lean back, if I sit all the way up, my hat does come in contact with the roof. So if you're at 6'1" or below, it's probably fine. If you're above 6'1", it might be a rough ride. Driving this about a month ago in the mountainous roads of California, it was a lot of fun. Here in Florida, I don't have the same twisty and windy roads and elevation changes, obviously. So I've been able to test it in just a slightly different way, more relaxed, laid back way. Just focus on what most people will be doing in this car, which is just like you're commuting, going from point A to point B, in-town driving, stuff like that. And for some reason, I don't know if it's the composition, I don't know if these tires are different than the tires that I had on the pre-production models last month. This thing rides like butter. A month ago when I tested the Sport L, it felt way more rough, I'll just say, and harsh compared to the Touring model. This feels exactly the same as the Touring model that I remember when I drove that about a month ago. So I'm not sure why, but just know that this model, the production model, feels way better with ride quality, smoothness, harshness, sound from the road as well is very muted in here compared to the pre-production model that I drove about a month ago. Throwing it around the roundabout here. A little floaty, the steering's really light, but it does feel good, and I'm so used to driving crossovers and big trucks and stuff that any sedan typically feels better in the turns than most of the cars I drive. I do believe this is a better buy than the top of the grade Touring, unless you need the head-up display or the sound system, the Bose sound system. And getting on the brakes hard there. Brake pedal in here feels great, very predictable, nice and linear as well. Typical Honda is what you would expect. And again, I don't like using those the regen paddles here. I know they've added more customization with them, more levels. Gosh, there's like 6 or 7 different levels here. None of them are my cup of tea. I just prefer to drive it like a normal car, like I said, because it doesn't have one pedal driving. The brake pedal in here is just so good as well. You do have an annoying Honda synthetic sound that's pumped in at low speeds, and I think I still hear it going about 20 miles an hour. So not only will you hear it on the inside of the car, kind of ruining the solemn nature of a hybrid, it's people around you as well. Like my neighbor, he's like, oh, you got one of them hybrids again, because he does not like the ridiculous synthetic spaceship noise that they make, and I think it's a bit unnecessary as well. Now 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque is nothing to write home about. Like I mentioned, we were doing the engine walk around. My God, this thing though, I don't care how much power it does or doesn't have, it's so smooth. Like I'm in full electric right now. This thing is more efficient in town than it is out on the highways at higher speeds. Hondas are more like a serial hybrid that can work like a parallel hybrid. What does that mean? Well, it drives like an electric car, and it's so smooth in town. Like you never feel the engine, you only hear it at times. And unless you have your pedal like down and you're accelerating fast, you really don't ever notice the engine. It's always in the background. Honda's hybrids are so refined, so smooth, and just like very luxurious. No, it's not the torque or power I'd want in a luxury car, but it's every bit as smooth and comfortable and non-interrupting is what you would expect in a luxury car. And that's why I just cannot recommend the CVT turbo setup, because this setup is faster, it's more responsive, and it gives you better fuel economy. But most importantly, it's just so quiet and smooth. So it just does so many things better than that turbo setup. And just get the base sport hybrid. If you're worried about monthly payment or whatever, you don't need all the fancy seats. You still get this big 12-inch screen. I think the base sport and the EXL are probably the best buys. Going about 27 around this roundabout, and I'm lost in this small town. I don't know where I'm at. This town keeps growing, but 25 miles an hour and above, I don't hear that synthetic noise, so it turns into a very, very quiet car. The engine's just turned on, and you never know the engine turning on, and it just turned off. Like, it's so subtle, I don't feel it. All I do is hear a slight whir of the engine. Now, if you have the radio on, even at a low level, you're not going to ever really hear the engine. I just can't praise this system enough from Honda for its refinement, smoothness, and quietness. You get that immediate electric motor response off the line. It's just so smooth, it's ridiculous. Radar cruise control and lane keep assist work really well in here. The shadows are really bad, as you guys can see, and the car is actually doing an amazing job somehow reading the lines and keeping me in. It doesn't work 100% of the time, but the fact that this good is quite impressive with these hard shadows. Sometimes hard shadows really throw cars for loops, and they're just like, nope, not doing it. they won't even try. So right there, it finally lost the lines, but still very impressive. Honda's new safety systems are very, very good. Some of the best in the industry in my testing. We're gonna put it in sport mode. There we go. And let's go ahead and torque brake it and go. Does not launch hard. And 6.67. So there you go. I think that's pretty indicative of the real world performance of this vehicle. 6.67, and way better than the results I was getting in California, and maybe being in flat sea level and predictable. You know, I don't know. The temperature here is really good as well for performance. So very impressive. From my understanding, when you don't torque brake and you just mash the gas, I'm still in sport mode, it should go ahead and simulate some gears for us. Yep, there it goes. It doesn't sound bad. It does not sound bad. I'm not disappointed about it, and I guess I could have done a 0 to 60 there. 7.8. So there's a massive difference between torque braking this thing and normal launching, which is kind of unfortunate because 99% of the time you're not going to be torque braking this thing. You're just going to be using this in daily instances in traffic. But still, under 8 seconds, 0 to 60 is plenty fast for the streets. Most people around town are probably doing, like, I don't know, 12 seconds, 0 to 60s. No one is really in a rush, at least where I live, to get where you need. And there's always going to be people holding you up. So it's still plenty of acceleration. I just wish it had a little bit more bite when you weren't torque braking it. Got the radar cruise control on. This road is notorious for being loud, and it's really subdued here. I wouldn't say it's luxury grade, but man, is it close. And that's a complete 180 from my original impressions with the exact same grade. So definitely test drive your Sport L before buying it to see if the road noise is subdued through the tires and whatnot, because here in this production model, it is so much better than when I tested it out in California. And with the radar cruise control on here and the steering assist on, so easy to just drive this car. Like, I love them, the 10-inch MID. It tells me that it recognizes the car in front of me, and if I decided to pass it, kind of like a Tesla, it'll populate the car to the side of me, and it'll let me know I changed lanes with this MID. Obviously I can see it myself, but it lets me know there's a car off to the right hand side here. I just like the technology in here. It's come a long ways for Honda. And what's the responsiveness like this on the highway? Let's say if you need to pass someone, pedal down. Yeah, just like the previous Honda hybrid, or should I say Accord hybrid, and the current CR-V hybrid, there's a huge delay. And that's one of the downfalls to Honda's hybrids. They have it in smoothness, but they don't have it in passing power responsiveness. Now you get that delay, especially if you just full pedal down, but if you do about half pedal down, it's way more responsive than full pedal down. So you actually get going faster if you're not pressing the pedal all the way down. It's a bit counterintuitive, but that's how it works in this hybrid. The engine is more ready to help out with a mild press of the pedal or medium press of the pedal than a full press. So there's the previous generation Honda Accord. I feel like this is a great way to end it. And looking at the lobster claws in the back end of this car looks better, but I like the front end of the car, the last gen. But yes, this new Accord is fantastic for overall refinement, comfort. Even in the Sport L model, it is way more comfortable and handles the bumps in the road, imperfections. The road noise in here is much less than the pre-production models that I drove a month ago. So Honda, you have a great vehicle on your hand. I just wish we had all-wheel drive, vents and USBs in the back on the lower grades, or even the mid grades like the Sport L. I'd love to see a panel roof option on your Accords. Did I mention all-wheel drive? I can say that over and over again. And we definitely miss the legendary manual transmissions as well as turbocharged 2-liter, but it is what it is, and this will fit the needs of 99% of Accords out there perfectly well, and comfort and a good amount of luxury even. All right, I'm getting into there. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you down in the comments below with your comments and questions on the new Accord. And man, I can't wait to see what Toyota comes back with their next generation Camry. Thank you guys. Have a great day and peace.